Hey guys, it's me, Mecha Sparrow. We're doing a live stream. This is more of a freeform version, so I'll put this in the random access memory or garbage pointer archive, YouTube archive. So yeah,
Alright, should I introduce myself?
yeah.
I'm Trevor. Hello. I'm Michael's buddy, and we're gonna be doing a project of mine. Maybe. I'll say I'm gonna introduce it to Michael. Um, so about the project, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, the problem for the project is very simple. It's just that whenever you're writing code, a lot of the times there'll be times where a standard will change, and you want the characters per line to change. You know what I mean by that?
So the characters
What?
per line.
So, do you wrap your text by characters up? Do you have a max amount of characters for each line that you write?
No. I guess it depends on the text editor, code editor.
Huh. Most people do. This worries me. No, there's this whole thing about basically having a certain characters per line as a max. And whenever that changes, it can be kind of frustrating because you have to manually wrap all of your text. So if you're interested, and I don't know, I can see how this could be kind of a boring project. I was kind of putting together just a web page where you could put a bunch of your plain text in, just documentation, because for the code to be more complicated, and then would rewrap the text so that it would be new characters per line instead of the old one. If that makes any sense.
So you would just put in a bunch of plain text. It would compress it down to a single line, but it would keep the white space. But it
It's
would
actually a bit more complicated than that, but close.
how does it change?
There's one extra complication, basically, but you got most of it. Is that there's a problem when there comes if you have a paragraph that ends on the line and it ends already, and then in your next paragraph, you start a new paragraph, it's gonna end up taking that old paragraph and wrapping it um, so that it fits on the same line.
But that's like an
From what
edge
I could
case.
figure out.
That's an edge case, right?
It's not really an edge case. I could see that being kind of common.
So
So I don't know. Maybe there's also a way around it.
did you
I
look
just kind of
at?
picked up this project. Let me share you the link. And
Yeah, share me the link.
I'm realizing this might be a bit of a boring project for a stream, but hold on. Let me get my GitHub.
It'll give me the challenge of working on a game prototype while
What did you just say?
what? You can see the stream. I'm multitasking.
Oh, you are. Hold on. Let me get my Twitch up. Oh boy.
And
What are you making?
so I had this. I was really highly caffeinated in the morning, and I was like,
Yeah.
what if I make a game where it's a fighting game, and the main concept is that you can only be a square, a triangle, or a circle, and you can switch between any of the three at any time in the game, and it changes whether you're able to attack or defend. So if you're a
Wait, but there's three.
yeah, so if you're a triangle, it basically is for offense. If you're a circle, it's for mobility, and if you're a square, it's for basically defense.
I see. Huh. How's the movement gonna work, I guess?
It's up to the Unity's physics engine. That's my theory.
You don't, you as the creator have zero control over that? Okay. Uh, hold on. Yeah, I get. And I only got that kind of bare bones stuff up. None of the real meat of the project has come up yet. But a lot, since this operation is going to be done client side, I just decided to use a
It's just a web.
Okay.
It's just like a website.
I decided to use a Node Express server just to run the server because there's not going to be much to the server except
I don't.
here's the page.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I guess yeah. You don't even
So
really need
I
a node server per se, but it makes things easier to begin with.
oh that doesn't work. Hold on. Gotta add that like %20 or oh there's no spaces.
Oh,
Please
I'm
hold on.
using the best part is I'm using a development build of Unity because so normally you can't run Unity on Linux, but they
Ah.
have some development builds. So like I will have to save my project like many
Okay.
times to make sure it doesn't crash.
Are the builds still active or is it kind of just
Well, it's supposed to be like they're active, so they release experimental development builds every once in a while, and they're
nice?
pretty consistent. Let's see. The only thing that's really weird is the light baking is off, and I don't know if it's don't know exactly why, but we shall see once I add a material to it.
Uh,
Oh, three
oh,
viewers.
what's that?
Hello, welcome to the live stream. I am helping my
Hello, hello.
friend Trevor, and
Yep,
while
that's my name.
and so he's has this idea for just like this basically documentation formatting tool, and I am just prototyping some random video games ideas that I had flying around in my head since the morning. So yeah,
Man, I stammered through like 6 sentences of explaining my thing, and then you're just like, give it in the one sentence. Dang,
yeah.
I cannot do that.
I mean, you get better with about it over time, and then
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I've never been on a stream or anything, so. So many people. Oh my god.
What?
I'm in front of thousands.
What? How? You're just kidding.
Practically.
No,
Uh,
that's a joke.
let's see. I think I'm gonna set up like a kind of draw.io thing, right?
A
Where
draw.io, like a diagram?
yeah, just because I think I can share it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait, draw.io is for diagrams. No, what's the one that's just the paintbrushes or whatever?
CW, it's just search whiteboard, online whiteboard. That's the one I usually, it's CWW or something.
Can you invite other people onto the board?
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, so you can.
That's the name of it. I just use
Oh, but
ah.
wait, if I give you the link though, your stream will be able to. Do you have 2 monitors?
Yeah, I have 3 monitors.
Okay, whoa. Oh my god.
Do you have a testing framework installed on this?
Not yet. So I'm actually still a bit new to Node and Express. I've messed with Node a bit before, but I didn't really understand enough of what it was trying to be to really respect it. But now I kind of understand.
Some stuff, there's some unnecessary stuff, maybe. You'll
So
have,
if I share the whiteboard, your stream won't be able to join it.
what do you mean? No, they
So if I
won't be
share
able to
the link
join
to
it.
the whiteboard.
They won't be able to join it.
All right. I don't trust any of you. No, I'm kidding. I kid.
This is gonna be my most hated stream. I'm kidding. Okay. Blah. Do you see this?
Hold on. There's a bit of a delay, so I'm not sure if you're showing me what you want to show me right now.
Uh,
There's a big white box.
oh, I'm looking. No, I have the whiteboard in a separate tab.
Ah.
It's
You meant I thought you meant look at the stream.
no.
Uh. Oh, whoops. This is the wrong thing. Oh god. Drop. No, that's not what I want. How does this? Ooh. All right.
Maybe I have to install a newer build of Unity, because I'm trying to use the LTS version, but even the LTS version is like half of the dialogues are just like black screens, so I can't even like do something like pick a color, which is like,
Uh,
oh, okay. So I have to
yeah.
basically every single time I open up a thing, every once in a while I'll have to restart Unity, which is okay. It's not preferable, but I'll dig it. I'll bite. Yeah, so like this architecture is eh. Essentially, but it'll work. Why do you use why are you using require.js?
Require.js. Because I didn't. I wanted to. I didn't. How to describe it? I knew require.js would work, and I wasn't too sure about anything else that I was doing, so I wanted a bit of security.
I dig it. I get you. I get you.
Hmm.
Oh, okay. Makes sense now. I love how there's like the ability to just have you can make your own playlist on YouTube, and then you can just you can just say have it as like part of your page. You can be like, this is the playlist for blah blah blah.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Then I can just change what videos show up on the front of my channel.
I'm not too much of a creator, but it all seemed interesting.
I'm I
Creator, as
I'm
in
a I'm a
making stuff.
I'm an inconsistent creator. Like
Oh, I know.
I have a feeling I can get better, but there's so many stuff I have to handle. Okay, let's
Oh,
see.
I get it. What time? So the thing that I'm showing right now is just a very a crude demonstration of the problem. So this is basically about not of the problem they're trying to solve, but of the problem in the easy solution, I guess I should say. And that is the characters per line. For the sake of demonstration, the difference between these two between the difference in the characters per line between these two is the same, just for demonstration's sake. And if the operation were to go through like this, it would end up, because it gets rid of the new lines, it would end up merging the two paragraphs. So what needs to happen is the operation you're describing, where it gets rid of the new lines and then it redoes them. That still needs to happen, but the user has to define sections, basically.
I mean, not really, because you can say this part is white space, and then you don't drop the white space.
And then, yeah, that's one way of doing it. That would be another way of doing it. So the sectioning would be very useful for if trying to put the words together. The sectioning is very useful for being able to always solve the problem. But if you an easy solution that would just make life easier for the user to deal with it that way would definitely be something we'd probably add as well. But I still want to get the solution that solves all of the problem.
Would say work from so when you have a type of problem that has multiple pieces, you first the main suggestion is to start with a much more simpler problem that's still within the right same realm. And the similar problem is just doing the character limit thing and then covering the edge case later.
Hmm. I don't know.
Unless you think that
I
will
always try to break. I guess we had a different approach. Maybe I'll try that though.
well, it's more of a it's just a general problem solving tactic because it's like
The
there's only let's put it
yeah.
this way. There's only so much your brain like a person's mind can hold on to in working memory, right? So
Right.
it's like a
This
trade
is true, and
it's a time space what is it? Time space trade off. You
yeah.
can
I think I think I think it is best to figure out what you're doing first. I don't know.
well you are
I'm trying to figure out a way to put my point forward without making it sound like your point is stupid, because I understand your point, and it makes a lot of sense.
The point isn't stupid.
No, it isn't. But like every time I think of a way to say why my point is different, I realize that I'd be putting down your point. I'm like, oh, dang. But let's see. I like that this idea that you've had is very convenient for doing the models, the graphic models.
Which one?
The idea for having the shapes,
Oh.
because you just gotta make the shapes.
Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Hmm. I think what might help is if I actually pulled out some of my documentation and then tried to rewrap it and then see how that goes.
Yeah, that will work.
Hmm. Forgot what what sublime text was called for a second there. I was trying to look it up.
I would just say try to like write like what I would say is like writing the simple version first, and then when you have the simple version down, like a proof of concept, I feel like it makes it easier.
I don't know. I feel that whenever I do that, maybe I just do it the wrong. Maybe I just do it the wrong way. But I feel whenever I do that, I had to kind of change the whole system because I was dealing with a different problem to begin with when I did
Well,
it that way.
it's
Maybe
well,
I just did it wrong.
it's a similar problem. It's just like they're not completely different problems. That's what's important to keep in mind. They're similar problems. It's just one is a subset of the problem.
Eh, as the sibling of the problem.
I suppose. Well, yes, but I feel like one
I
is
get what you
more
mean.
related to the other.
Okay, a use case.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
not a use case, but you got me.
Okay. So now I have to come up with three alternative shapes. So I can do a cube. I can do a quad. Can I edit a quad? So if I have a quad, right? Can I edit it? Can I edit the mesh? Convex? Is this convex? No. Can I motion vectors? Anchor? Override? Are you thinking?
Nope.
You're not thinking.
Yeah. Sorry. Trying to find a certain file because I know it has a bunch of documentation on it. Mm. Actually done a pretty interesting bit of trivia while I was kind of, doing some research with all this. I'll say it in a sec. Yeah, but so there's this thing called the IBM computer card. It was a type of punch card, and it
Mm-hmm.
had 80 columns and 12 rows. What's interesting is that these numbers still exist today in certain character measured standards, and one of them actually is the 80 character per line standard. It actually does come from the 80 columns of the punch card, because that that kind of carried over to the Linux terminal. And then the reason why we still have the 80 character limit for a lot of this stuff is because of the Linux terminal is set to an 80 character length. I'm not sure entirely on all the specifics, but just the fact that, you know, those two things are related is just kind of crazy. And because of that, the punch card having 80 columns and 12 rows, I opened my socket on port 8012
Nice.
just to be funny. Really attacking that keyboard.
Yeah, I figured out how to do the triangle. And then I need to do one more. And instead of it's like I'm trying to avoid going into any prompts, and because every single time I have to restart it, and I'm like, I don't want to
Oh
spend
boy.
10 seconds restarting it.
Yeah. How stable?
I think it's stable enough.
I think when I get through this part of the problem, and which I think will take maybe 2 days or 3 days or something. I paused there because I was about to say 1 or 2 days, and I'm like, no, no, that's not how it works.
I think the paragraph thing will
But
probably be the hardest.
oh yes, but I think after that, what would be very interesting is I could go for an extra 2 problems. So one would be I could try to create some smart parsers for a couple different languages that would basically have some options for how the code gets rewrapped. That would be really difficult though, but I could try. The other thing I could do is I could also make it so that users could import their own kind of smart parsers for the programs, so that if I'm not able to do it and someone has enough interest, they'll at least be able to do it, you know?
Mm-hmm. You could try writing a lexer.
A Lexer?
Yeah, like a token, like to actually like. Well, that's if you want to make a compiler.
How do you spell Lexer?
Lexer.
Lexical analyzer or tokenizer is a program that breaks down the input source code. Lexemes, oh my god. That's like phonemes, but LEX.
Ah, you know what phonemes are.
I do.
I see you're a fellow man of culture.
The little funny letters.
Yes.
It reads the input source code character by character. Oh, it reads the input source code character by character, recognizes the lexemes, and outputs a sequence of tokens describing the lexemes. That's very abstract.
Well, it's supposed to be designed for any like programming language, so it kind of has
I
to.
guess. I'll see if I can get an actual example in my head and understand it. Let's see. What's a lexeme? Alright, a lexeme is a single identifiable sequence of characters. For example, fast, flunk, var, while. So keywords, literals, identifiers, operators, punctuation characters. What's a token? A token is an object describing the lexeme. A token has a type, keyword, identifier, number. I see. And a value, the actual characters of the described lexeme. And I guess that's how you would. I see. That's how you kind of be able to pragmatically.
It's how you basically create a programming language.
That wouldn't be creating a programming language, really, but yeah.
Well, you kind of have to basically translate it to some other runnable piece of code. So like,
Oh, but that's only part of what a programming language is. That's just the part we see when we're programming. And then we hit the magical compile button, we don't see anything else, and it just works. Well, to say it works, sometimes it works when we hit the compile button.
uh-huh.
Mm. Let's see.
Ah, I got it. Did you erase the whatever diagram you had on here?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Whoa. Make these rollies. Well, what's very at least convenient about the whole sectioning idea is that if I were to do it, I figured to myself that selecting different sections, you actually wouldn't do it character by character, you would do it line by line. Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did. Yeah, I thought you got to that part.
No, I still okay.
I feel like you just. I feel like you have to just draw it out on a piece of paper.
I have like a notepad in front of me with the documentation I'm playing with.
Paper.
I feel like you do have to section it
With paper.
because otherwise you could just read the next new line.
Yeah.
There's a smart solution, but it doesn't work all the time. And that would be to check if the next word, if you were to add it to the new line, if it would go past the wait. No, that won't work. I mean, no.
Why?
Well, if the person already okay, so here's the idea, but I think it'd be more work than it's worth. Just for like a neat little feature that doesn't even work all the time. If a person already has a CPL and they're actually rewrapping it, what you could do is you could check to see on a new line if the next word, if you could add the next word without it going past the old CPL. And if you can, you could reason that that's the next section. But there are times where you would do that, it would fail, but it'd still be the next section. And also times where the person doesn't have a set CPL, so it's kind of messy. So nah. I think I'm just gonna go with the sectioning idea.
Yeah. Well, here's what you should do. Just have it set up where you just have it where the user figures it out. Unless, are we talking about?
Just an interface.
I mean, are we just talking? This is documentation though. Like it's.
For now, it's only going to be plain text, because I do not have.
So if it's plain text, it shouldn't matter.
I do not have enough yet in front of me in progress to be able to justify going with like smart code parsing where the person would be able to choose their options and stuff. Like, oh, I want to split functions. If I end up splitting an expression with functions across multiple lines, I want it so that every function has its own line, that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of tough, Which is why it would definitely, I think, be useful is if after I did this and maybe I give it a shot at making one for a programming language, if I let the users kind of import their own thing, their own logic.
That shouldn't be too bad.
Or rather, I should say export, because I'd be the one. Yeah.
Or you could just program it.
Wow, that's so rude.
Well, like, I
No,
mean,
I'm kidding.
I feel like it's easier when you have. It's like writing, though.
Just do it. I agree, but also I disagree. I don't know.
Well, think about do a test-driven development, basically, right?
There's
Have
there's
your
a method to
have your
madness.
before have a before and after. So have before files and after files, and then write the program so it parses in that specific way.
It's just that
And then you can add more
I don't
test
have faith in.
cases. What do you mean?
Yeah,
It's
I don't
foolproof.
know. Not really.
Yeah, it is, because
It's
if
it's just as foolproof as the writer. But
yeah,
then
so
again,
you
so
get, well, that means that, well, that's the same thing. If you can't write,
yeah.
period, you need to be able
But
to
at the
write
same
test cases
but
because the user might
I
be
know.
able to do something that might have not been intended.
Yeah.
I would try
How do
it.
you write test suites?
Um, I'm the
Because
tester.
I don't know. That stuff weirds me. Cause no, I get the idea, but like I mean on the project. Also, sorry for the loud noise. I mean on the project structure level. Like where does it go?
It goes in a testing framework. So
Oh
you'll have a
no, mine.
file, you'll have a set of files just for testing.
Yeah, I get that part. Oh, actually no, I didn't get that part. Okay, so they shouldn't be side by side.
No, they should be in a separate folder.
But that's such a pain as well. But I understand why it's useful.
I mean, any change is painful.
Eh.
Yeah,
Is it?
some of it is just that was painful. No, but let's see. Time to test my code. Oh, and I'm gonna try to make this game so you have to use joysticks. So this will be interesting.
Oh man.
Now, if my Linux doesn't have drivers for joysticks, this is gonna be sad boy hours. Because I want it to be where I can just like nonchalantly do this. Let's see.
That would be cool. I don't know about joystick drivers for Linux.
They
I
have
do know
it.
there's a PS3 you know, software that will let you run PS3 controller on some games. I have that for Windows. Because the games back then, and I say back then, I mean a couple years ago, and I assume still now that they supported Xbox controllers and PS3 controllers. Nope, not at all. And they didn't care. It was like, ah, PS3 controller never works.
It should work. Let's do joystick. Oh, okay, I'll do it. So we'll just do, if I just say the joystick is horizontal. What the heck's wrong with this controller? Oh, it's moving.
My dad also. Oh.
I need to add a magnitude. I didn't add a magnitude.
Survive.
That's why.
My dad brought up also.
Hmm?
My dad also brought up a good point in that if you just have
Oh, it
a
works.
word that is. Whoa.
What were you saying? If you brought up a word.
Oh yes, my dad brought up the point that if there's a word that's just too long to wrap even on its own line, like it still goes past the CPL, that has to be reflected in the output. So I can't just output the text. I also have to output any bad line numbers where I wasn't able to wrap properly, and that will kind of be the user's attention will be drawn to like, sorry, we can't wrap this word. Just too gosh darn long.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what needs to be input is text.
Yes.
The new line character, because that might be different. It shouldn't be, but you know, you never know. It's a standard, which means only 90% of people follow it. God damn it. Design character. Text. This is just the output for just a section where you can just get rid of the new lines and replace them. Oh, and of course, I guess the CPL as well is necessary.
There's so many axes. Unity 3D joystick mapping.
Actually, if I can't wrap the word, I'm wondering if there should be a error handling callback that gets pushed to the thing just in case. I'm wondering if that would be better for the program.
What were you saying?
I'm wondering if maybe instead of, we might make it just a bit more dynamic, is instead of handling the error inside the function, is if the callback was passed to the function, for if sorry, give me a second, for if a word can't be wrapped.
Well, yeah, you could probably have some output or something for that.
I guess he'd put in the line number with that. I'm not entirely sure. Probably the line number and then the unwrappable text.
Joystick buttons. Okay. Joystick button key codes Unity.
Character per line. Character per line. Next unit character. And then this will output. Actually, no, I don't like a callback here because this is actually supposed to be purely functional. This.
I think that's the issue.
What?
I
No,
think.
okay.
I mean,
So,
what I mean.
So I don't.
What I mean is like.
Go on, say it.
It should work purely functional, but don't hold yourself to that limitation.
Okay. So I am definitely not writing stuff like Node in purely functional, and I'm definitely not writing stuff like the view level purely functional. But when it comes down to like breaking down the section,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to rewrapping a section,
That should be a pure function.
That's a pure functional task. It shouldn't be meddling with callbacks, you know.
But that should be a contract.
Yeah.
Like that should be a given, in my opinion. Like there should be no reason for there to be some sort of chaos to. It should be a one-to-one mapping.
There actually is. Okay. Well, there would be a case for a callback here. Now that I think about it.
But that would
That
still
would
make
be
it
like
that would still make it pure though, because it only works with that one callback in that specific way.
Well, technically that makes it impure.
Why?
Because it does something to affect the outside state.
The outside
But
state, you just tell it to return a string, and that way it doesn't affect the
no, no,
outside
no.
state.
Yeah, no, I know. But using a callback will make it will cause a change to the outside state.
Well, then you would make that, but the callback. I mean,
I'm
it's
saying
gonna
the callback
happen,
is still useful
but it's gonna
because
happen
if you
at, but it's gonna happen at some layer of the computer program.
I disagree with the point you have made.
It has to have some
However,
sort of
I
side
still,
effects.
I'm still doing side effect. Don't say that. That's a bad word.
Mm,
It's a bad word, mister. Don't say the
computer
side effect word.
if a computer can returns an output in any form to the user so he can see it, that's changing the outside environment.
I know, I'm getting to that point, but you keep saying, Trevor, you're wrong.
Okay.
I'm saying, yes, I would rather have a callback right here instead of return. So there's two ways I could do it, and I'm thinking I'd rather have a callback. And I'll tell you why. The other way I could do it, the purely functional way I could do it, is I could return the rewrapped text and then faulty line numbers. However, that doesn't really that isn't trying to figure out how to word this. That doesn't really help if you're trying to kind of get the information as it comes. And the other problem with that is that that's when you kind of start returning other things other than what's supposed to return. You start adding this logic to make sure that these errors are kind of kept and then kind of returned. I'm starting to explain it. Or events. You basically start keeping track of changes and then you return those changes, which isn't very useful and it's terribly inefficient, especially when your focus should be on hold on, I'm getting an ad. Especially when your focus should be on just returning the output that's been called for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I can actually stand getting what should be a purely functional function firing events, because it still doesn't break your function isn't too much, because it still lets the function go under the idea that the same set of inputs will give the same set of outputs. So there's at least that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was agreeing with you, Michael.
I guess. A vertical mag, then we'll do. What? Is there an ad on your computer?
Yes, there was. But it's gone now. I actually don't know what it was. So yes, I think I will add a callback for error. Is there a standard on what you call error callbacks, or is it just like FN? 'Cause that's the only one I've seen.
I think it's whatever you believe it to be.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. That's poetry.
Joystick 1, button 0. How is that unknown? Oh, I have to. Do I have to do it by? Do I have to do it raw? Public. Let's do public key code.
I want to output the I don't like calling it rewrapped text because there are cases where you might put in text that isn't even wrapped, but whatever. What's also nice about passing in events is that it doesn't. You can still use your function in a functional way. If you do it the other way, actually, I guess you can do it their way too. But passing like an event that fires something. Where do I put it? don't want anything, if you really don't want anything to change, you can just pass an empty function.
Mm-hmm.
Which is always nice. Also, apologies for being like the world's slowest talker today. I'm just tired.
I feel like I'm messing something up here. I need to add a.
The controller thing going.
It's going good. I think I'm gonna add a second.
Integration.
I'm gonna add a second player.
Whoa. Dang. Unity quick.
The second player thing will be hard, a little bit difficult, but not. It shouldn't be too much. Ah, water. Gotta get water. Gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
These are so bad. These colors are bad.
So I'll have the rewrap section function, and then I'll have the rewrap function that will take in sections. Oh. Sections. CPL. New line. Character.
What? Physics 2D raycaster. Okay. Physics 2D raycaster.
Hey, physics. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's basically how you get a lot of stuff to work. Okay. Raycast.
Your trial and fun. Actually, the real tough part's gonna be is figuring out how I'm gonna have a web page that lets you like select multiple sections with things. I don't know how I don't know how I'm gonna do that.
Okay. Good luck. I kid. Let's see. How's the progress?
Oh, you just got me spacing out actually. Put those on for a sec. I have the functions for rewrapping the inputs and outputs for them. I'm not even gonna write them, but I'm wondering about the rest. Oh well, I'll get to that later.
My text editor has variable naming suggestions. This is great. Okay.
Alright. I guess there's one part I'm missing for this whole thing. I should figure out how I'm gonna split the sections. It's really just gonna be, I guess, a brace splicing, but let's see. What will be get sections? Oh, where did it go? Where did my eraser go? There it is. Section. Get text. And then it needs to get an array of. Is it a range? Let me double check.
How does this happen?
It's a really long variable name, but I think I'm gonna have to settle with start and end index pairs.
Yeah.
So, oh well. Alright, well, I have all the drawing out done for the part-time going program. So, I'm actually starting to get sections.
Oh, you're gonna start coding?
Yes.
Nice.
I was just about to earlier, but then I forgot I had one other thing to figure out first. Good sections. Right, good sections. Cool. Check. Oh, I guess I should be starting and line index pairs. Oh my god, that's a mouthful. Does that make sense? Start and end line index pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry to pester you about it.
No, it's fine.
Let's see.
Я говорю, ты кушать хочешь? Hold on. Do you wanna eat?
What?
Разденься, жарко. Что ты оделся?
What do you want?
Ты кушать хочешь?
No, okay.
Per. Hmm?
I was just saying alright.
All right.
JavaScript. Uh-oh, wait, do I have to...
No.
What?
I was like, it works for the jumping, but the horizontal force is too high.
Oh, what? Oh, I just saw it. Oh, that's a yikes.
Or maybe I'll keep it super high, but what I'll do is that I'll add like a rotational. I'm adding walls. I'm adding walls to this.
He's just going all out. Let's just stop.
I'm making the top thing also. I'm also gonna make the top thing a ground as well. So I'll have to label those.
Vector equals I'm wondering what can go wrong here. The interesting thing about Node is it did not get it catching errors, and someone catches an error, it just crashed the whole program.
Yeah, that
That's all it
happens.
is. Which I mean, I guess is a good thing because you don't want your program to keep running if your user can cause like a programmer error, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, also kind of like wish there was an option for that to not happen.
Probably.
If
They're
I could,
probably.
if
There's
I,
probably a way.
besides me being competent, that is. Keep going.
I said there's a way.
Uh,
So basically, you'll be able to move with the joystick, and then you'll be able to jump with the A key, and then the X, Y, or B key will let you basically change the Oh, this is. I think I know what I can do.
is there gonna be a cool off?
So you see how it rotates once I get onto one of these, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna program it so it basically gets the normal collision vector. What that means is it basically gets the point. It gets the how do I put it? So for different.
The collision vector, it's a vector that stretches out until it hits something.
So-
Oh, that's a vector. That's a ray. I think a ray. A vector is just the line that goes in a direction, and if it hits something along the way, it does something, right?
Well, it depends on the shape. So if it's like, so basically I create a vector for each side of the triangle, and then I have a raycaster for each side. So if one of the raycasters hit, then I can say, well, it's from this side. Apply the jump force from this vector, based off the side. You can do that for both the square and the triangle.
Wait. You don't apply all the jump force that you had, though, right? You do some sine math thing.
Well, that's what the game engine does. Game engine handles all the linear algebra for me.
Good for that.
So it gives me a bunch of reference vectors I can use. And I can tell it to calculate the vectors if I want. The only thing that wouldn't really work is the circle. The circle doesn't have any distinguishing... The circle has too many vertices, so it could not find a sustainable normal vector to use, basically.
Well, that's because it's a circle, so I think you'll have to use something besides your ray casting. You might have to model it differently.
I think for the circle, I can basically just specify a bunch of... I can basically approximate it. So I could basically generate... so for the circle, I could say generate... And with some trig, generate... let's make it precise by, like, say, 9 vectors. Generate 9 raycasting vectors for the circle. Pretty much.
I feel like I could clip through it, though.
What do you mean? So 2 raycasting vectors would hit the same wall?
No, you have not clipped through the wall, sorry. As in you have, if you only had 9, I feel like the player could see the ball, like the edge of the ball hit the wall and nothing happened. But I don't know.
Well, that's because it's not... When it raycasts, you see how the raycast lets me jump?
I know, I'm saying with 9, that might be too low a number, but I don't know.
You can even use 1 if you wanted to. It depends on how you set up the raycasting.
It's just never gonna hit.
Well, it will always hit in the direction of the raycasting vector. If you have a it's a lot of... Trust me, I've taken linear... I have read 2 chapters of linear algebra, I think.
You see, it's always the real reputable ones that go with the trust me. It's the line that never fails. So I get you. You've been working with Unity a lot longer than I have, and by that I mean I've never worked with Unity.
Yep.
Trying to figure out if get sections can throw an error. I guess if it's the wrong type, yes. But that should never happen. That's just a bug, so I shouldn't even check for that, right?
Maybe.
But it would be nice to have, what's the word? A verbose error handling. The That's the nice thing about hardly typed or strongly typed languages is they handle a lot of that for you. Ah well.
But see how because I only have one raycasting vector, it only works if the ground is directly below me, right? So for this triangle, I have to set up the raycasting vector so it goes there. So there's 3 for each side.
Oh, I can't see because there's an ad now. Darn it. It's 8 seconds.
That sucks. See now I kind of want to turn this into a game. But I think I need to implement the shape changing and just basically figure out how to just do with the shape changing and set up the 2-player system and then worry about the wall jumping mechanic. Because the actual shape, everything stays the same. The only stuff that changes between the the only thing that changes between the did I name it that? No, I call it shape battle. That's the name I gave it.
No, shape shifting because they're shape shifting.
And then I can make I can make the state of the shape a enum enum.
Yeah.
Let's see how it works with a circle.
Just to make it pretty.
Oh, let's do a circle. Technically, with the circle, it should roll up the wall. Yeah, it does. Okay. Right, I have an idea. If I'm gonna have circles, I feel like if circles just feel mobility, then I should add ways to ramp yourself up to the wall.
No, God, excuse me. Ugh. I'm not gonna worry about the errors or whatever. I'm just gonna code it. Then I'm gonna document it. Or then I'm gonna add errors. Then I'm gonna document it.
I wonder if I put ramps on all 4, could I get it to basically do a full roller coaster?
Will it help for the game?
Hmm?
Will it help for the game?
Yeah, because the circle's designed to be have mobility.
No, will the roller coaster help for the game?
Yani is not.
Yeah, I
Are you
guess.
streaming?
Yeah.
Is that your fighting game?
Yeah. The circle's for mobility.
I can map actually. Oh. I was
See?
gonna do a for each thing, but then I'm like, no, I can just map.
No.
I feel special. Start line index.
Okay, let's try this one more time. Oh yeah, I get it now. So I can basically use the ramps. I could basically just remove jumping and you would have to go off the ramp. You have to go off the ramp and then transform as you fly off.
I don't know, would removing jumping be a good thing?
Well, if you can get air if you can get airtime via the ramps, then it'll force you to use a shape changing mechanic. Or I can make it where you can jump on the triangle and the square, but you just can't jump as a circle.
Yeah, I figure maybe one of them should be able to jump. But the circle, oh, I see why the roller coaster is doing like the circle can roll.
Yeah.
I feel like this circle should be able to gain like a lot of momentum from going down ramps.
It can. Like, you can roll and then go like
if you're a
that.
smart player, you can switch to keep yourself from going too far. But I also feel like there should be cooldowns.
Between switches? Yeah, I think so. And then, let's see. Okay, what if I do roll, 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 jump? Okay, that might... Oh, yeah, that might work. Okay, so if I roll, jump, if I do it at the right time, keep this stuff. Roll, jump. Jump. Yeah, I think I might just keep the jumping for that because you can... That might be useful. We'll see. Well, I have to go. So, I'll definitely be live streaming tomorrow, though.